Okay, drafting. We're going into the draft in about a month's time, actually. A month from tomorrow is the start of the draft. I think it's June 22nd and 23rd. And we're going to have fun with that, and I'm going to do a live stream during round one, and then we'll live stream rounds 2 through 7 as well. Somebody requested that and asked me that, and I said, yep. I literally said, yep. So, yeah, that's going to happen this year. And the question's been asked, and it was asked actually before the trade deadline. But I'll answer it now, because really it doesn't matter, because we're not up to the draft yet. Does stockpiling draft picks, does rebuilding mean a championship? And the answer is, for some teams, yes. For a lot of teams, no. And I'm just going to go through. Now, these teams are organized by their records above 500 all time. So that's why you have Montreal up where they are. And that's why Vegas is number one. This is where the overtime loss point really drives me nuts, because it means that teams that have come into existence in the last 25 years get a bump up in the overall all-time standings. So that's a whole other video I have to do, where I have to go through and dissect who actually is the best team of all time, and it'll be Montreal. Spoiler alert. Vegas right now is in the finals. So as I'm recording this, Vegas has just clinched their spot in the finals, and we're all surprised. The blue number is Future Watch, the Hockey News Future Watch ranking of the youth on the team and their prospects. So Vegas gets a number 15 rating, even though their highest draft pick was Cody Glass last summer. And they've got a lot of good young prospects on this team coming up. So when I see people saying, well, yeah, but it's not sustainable, it kind of is. You got a lot of cap space. You've got a lot of kids coming up. It is kind of sustainable. Montreal, the only top 5, and the guys in black, those are top 5 draft picks since 2008. Galchenyuk's the only top 5 pick the Montreal's had. Their ranking in Future Watch is 28th. In brown marker, I've got rebuilds. So this is... And rebuilds is a funny term, because very often it's just your GM screws up and your team sucks. From 98-99 to 2000-2001. That's the only 3-year period I could find where Montreal missed the playoffs. To me, a rebuild is 3 years or longer. And I just went with the most recent. I didn't. If a playoff appearance interrupted a rebuild, that's fine. I just went with after that playoff appearance. I'm not going to start ripping into teams on this one. Montreal is in an odd spot in that how good are they? How bad are they? But they've got a number 3 draft pick this year, so they're going to pick up another top 5 draft pick, which could help them out a lot. But they haven't committed to a rebuild. Philly is number 2 on the Future Watch list. They've got Nolan Patrick, and they did go to a final. So you'll see in the brackets. It means they went to a final in the last 10 years. And is Philly going to be a cup champion anytime soon? I don't know about that, but they've got a good young roster. Did they do a full rebuild? No. They have not missed the playoffs for 3 years running over the last long period of time. Boston, well, they got Sagan as a number 2 draft pick. They have won a Stanley Cup. That's why there's a 1 next to them. They're number 4 in Future Watch right now. From 05-06 to 06-07 is as close as you get to a rebuild with these guys. That's as close as I could get. Now, Nashville is next on the list. Seth Jones is the only top 5 pick they have to show for it over the last 20... Well, not 20 years. Over the last 10 years. They were in a rebuild mode when they came into the league, which was 98-99 to 02-03. And then they made the playoffs. They, of course, made the finals last year. They're number 25 in Future Watch. No rebuild needed there. Minnesota's 19th in Future Watch. They missed the playoffs from 08-09 to 2011-2012. You want to look at why they picked up Parise and Suter. Just look at that period of time and it'll tell you. Anaheim, they're 20th in Future Watch. No top 5 picks for them either. 99-00 to 01-02 was their rebuild. And they had a Stanley Cup in 2007, so they just missed the cutoff here. Buffalo, Eichel and Reinhart are their top 5 picks over the last 10 years. But they've got the number 1 draft pick this year, which is going to be Dahlin. They're basically from 11-12 to 17-18, which is this year. They've missed the playoffs. So this has been an ongoing rebuild. and they're still rated 12th in their prospect and young players list. So, this is why when people say, oh, well, they'll just do a rebuild, it's like, it's not necessarily that easy. You can get into the bottom of the league. It's harder to get out. Detroit has one Stanley Cup. That was in 2008. They're 21st in Future Watch, and they haven't technically missed 3 straight playoffs in forever. San Jose hasn't missed playoffs 3 straight years. They were in the finals in 2016, and they're number 30 on Future Watch, which is where you start having difficulties later on, that you just don't have the talented young kids. You have good young kids, not the talented ones, though, that can take over when some of the older guys retire. Calgary, they're number 16 in Future Watch. Bennett is the only top 5 pick they've had. They don't have a top 5 this year either. They missed the playoffs from 2009-2010 to 2013-2014. St. Louis, Pietrangelo. St. Louis, that's the only top 5 pick they've had in that period of time. They're number 7 on Future Watch. They missed the playoffs from 05-06 to 07-08. The Capitals, they're 27th in Future Watch. Of course, they got Ovechkin in the draft, and between 03-04 and 06-07, they did not make the playoffs. But Ovechkin hasn't equaled a Stanley Cup yet. And I think when he got drafted, and then that first rookie year, we all expected one. Colorado, their top 5 picks, Makar, Landeskog, McKinnon, Duchesne. They have one number 1 pick, which is McKinnon. They're number 6 on Future Watch, and they missed the playoffs from 2014-15 to 2016-17. Edmonton, Puljujarvi, Draisaitl, Hall, McDavid, Yakupov, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and they're 11th in Future Watch. They missed the playoffs from 2006-2007 to 2015-16. And I don't know, I mean, they've been at the bottom and they've had all these young kids. I don't know that they've ever done the rebuild right, though. They made the playoffs last year. We'll see what they do next year, but I just don't know that they've necessarily done it right. Ottawa, they're 17th in Future Watch. No top 5 picks for them, and they haven't missed the playoffs 3 straight years. So Ottawa's in that mushy middle area where you think, all right, well, not quite top, not quite bottom. You know what I mean. They do have a number 4 pick this year, though. Pittsburgh, number 31st in Future Watch, but those 3 Stanley Cup rings makes them feel better about that. They missed the playoffs from 2001-2002 to 2005-2006. And, if anybody thinks, well, that was on purpose, they almost lost their team. It wasn't on purpose. It was really bad management by Pittsburgh that caused that to happen. Dallas, Heiskanen's the only top 5 pick they've had. He's coming over in the fall. They're number 23 on Future Watch. They missed the playoffs from 2008-2009 to 2012-2013. So rebuild didn't really help them. Rangers, they're 24th on Future Watch. Missed the playoffs from 97-98 to 03-04. Ironically, they were the top paying team at that point in time. So they were paying a lot of money for a roster that couldn't win anything. So, this is why when people say, oh, if you get rid of the cap. Yeah, well, the Rangers. Toronto, Matthews, Riley, Marner, and Shen, they're number 1 in Future Watch. And they missed the playoffs from 2013-14 to 15-16. And, of course, they made the playoffs for 2012-13. Missed the playoffs for a while before that. But Toronto has built a solid foundation. And I think Matthews, Marner, Riley, Shen, and some of the other guys. I know Luke Shen's gone. Of course I know that. But the fact that he left has helped them. I'm kidding. I'm sorry, Luke Shen, if you're watching this, I really apologize. Really, the core of the Leafs is pretty good. Now it's about the ability to move on and become that contender and get to that top spot on at the Stanley Cup. New York Islanders, Del Call, Strome, Tavares, Reinhart, Niederreiter. There's a lot to pull apart here. You've got a prospect that can't make the team. You've got a prospect that was traded to Edmonton for Eberle, which was a smart move. You've got Tavares, who may be leaving, Reinhart, who never made it, and Niederreiter, who made it with Minnesota. So the Islanders, it's not just getting those picks, and they've stockpiled picks like crazy in some of these drafts. It's what you do and how you develop the players. They're 18th in Future Watch. They missed the playoffs from 2007-2008 till 2011-2012. Neat fact, the GM for all those seasons, still Gar Snow. Chicago, their 3 Stanley Cups makes them feel better about being 29th on the Future Watch. Their 02-03 till 07-08 seasons makes them less happy. But during those seasons they missed the playoffs, they managed to draft guys like Kane and Taves. But it's not Kane and Taves that just brought them the cup either. It's what they surrounded them with. You have to surround them with something. Florida, Ekblad, Huberdeau, Barkov, Goodbranson. Pretty solid bunch. They turned Goodbranson into McCann, but that's okay too. They're number 22 on Future Watch. They missed the playoffs from 2012, 2013 to 2014, 2015. They made the playoffs once, and they missed the playoffs a couple more years after that. So this is kind of one of those things where you get into that rebuild loop. Some teams are in that, where they can't quite pull out of it. LA, they've had 2 Stanley Cups. They're 26th on Future Watch. You'll notice this is a trend. The teams that win the Stanley Cup, with the exception of Boston, they're kind of low on Future Watch. And Boston won that Stanley Cup, 7 years ago. Shen and Doughty are the 2 top picks. Of course, that's Braden Shen, who was traded off. They're 26th in Future Watch currently. They missed the playoffs from 2002, 2003 to 2008, 2009, the Palffy era. So shortly after Palffy, then everything just kind of... New Jersey, they're a team that reached the finals in the last 10 years. Of course, the Rangers did too. I was remiss I forgot to mention that. Hischier, number 1 pick, and Larson were picked up by New Jersey. Of course, Larson was turned into Taylor Hall, a number 1 pick from Edmonton. They missed the playoffs from 2012, 2013 till 2016, 2017, and they're 8th on Future Watch. Tampa, finalists in 2015. Jonathan Drouin, Steven Stamkos, a number 1 pick, and Victor Hedman, a number 2 pick, are the top 5s on this team. They're number 13 in Future Watch. They missed the playoffs from 07-08 to 2009-2010, and they were very smart about what they did with those picks then. The Vancouver Canucks, finalists in 2011. Pettersson and Ulevy are the top 5 picks they have to show for their rebuild so far. They're number 9 on Future Watch. They missed the playoffs from 2015-16 till 17-18 this season. And I am already figuring they'll probably miss next year as well. But there's at least a good young core sort of being formed here. And they have the number 7 pick this year. Winnipeg, Laine, Bogosian, and Evander Kane. And it's interesting because Bogosian and Evander Kane were both Atlanta draft picks who didn't last in Winnipeg. They're number 5 on Future Watch right now. Winnipeg missed the playoffs from 2007-2008 till 2013-14. It's a long time, basically through the rest of their Atlanta years into Winnipeg. And it's been a slow climb for Winnipeg to get to where they are. Columbus, Dubois, Johansson, and Murray. Murray may be on his way out. Johansson's already been traded. And Dubois looks like a first-line center. They're number 14 on Future Watch, 2009, 2010 until 2012, 2013. They missed the playoffs. Columbus is trying to build themselves into perennial status of a playoff team, and then maybe they'll work on contender. And we'll see how it works out for them. I look at their roster, and I like some of it, and I don't like some parts of it. And I don't know how much all of this building has made them a future contender, or if they're just going to fall back down. Carolina, who have the number 2 pick this year, and they're not trading it. For anybody who's wondering, they're not. That trade is that Svechnikov is not going anywhere. They will draft Svechnikov. I can't see Zadina being number 2. If Zadina's number 2, Mark Bergevin will break out into laughter and run to the podium. Won't even have a jersey. He'll just run to the podium. We're taking Svechnikov. And then you'll have Gary Bettman fighting him off. I haven't announced you're up yet. I don't care. I'm taking... Anyway. Hannafin and Lindholm are the 2 top 5 picks. Carolina's number 10 in Future Watch. Between 2009, 2010, and 2017-18, they've missed the playoffs. They're going to go up in next year's Future Watch, I'm thinking, because Svechnikov will be on the roster. He's a young kid, so that'll improve their grade. But it's been way too long since they made the playoffs. Way, way too long. Same for Buffalo. And these guys, Arizona. Dylan Strome is their only top 5 pick. They have a number 5 pick this year. You want to talk about guys who don't like the draft lottery? It's Arizona. The number 3 in Future Watch, though, between 2012, 2013, and this past season, 2017-18, this is the rebuild. And this is where it gets tricky. So, this year's draft, of course, Buffalo, Carolina, Montreal, Ottawa, and Arizona. And when you look at the last 11 drafts, including the one that's upcoming, Edmonton's had 6 top 5 picks, 4 at number 1. The Islanders have had 5 top 5 picks, 1 at number 1. Toronto, Florida, and Colorado have all had 4 top 5 picks. Tampa, Winnipeg, Columbus, Carolina, and Buffalo have had 3, including this year. 3. That's a 3. And New Jersey had a number 1 pick in 2017. They've been in the top 5 twice. So when you look at this, no cup, nope, 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 nope. So when people talk about stockpiling prospects, this is the risk. Now, draft picks are fine, but really the steal is in the later rounds. And I'll do a video soon on which teams have had the most picks and done the most with them. That's a whole other discussion. I was going to try to get it on this board with this topic, but there just isn't enough room to really get into that. Getting into how many draft picks, how many late draft picks work out, and this kind of thing. It's tricky. I understand why teams pick up a bunch of draft picks at the deadline. I get it, but it is really tricky because if you're tearing your roster apart saying we're going to build for the future, sometimes it works. In Chicago and Pittsburgh's case, that rebuild went really well for them because they both fell into pretty excellent franchise players to build around. But Edmonton's got an excellent franchise player to build around, and they missed the playoffs this year. I would argue that Eichel in Buffalo is a franchise player, and we haven't seen any rewards from that yet. So it's tricky. But I guess the idea is that any draft is really a lottery, and the more numbers you have in a lottery, the better chance you have of winning. I really think, though, that more than a lottery, you have to have the right scouts. And sometimes teams that don't have as many draft picks tend to have the right draft picks. But that's for another video. This is just to look at things as they stand. And if you're an Oilers fan, I really and truly apologize. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through and you just happened upon this video. And I'll talk to you guys again soon.